Before we get started, I just want to say this is video 1 of 2. This is the installation and configuration of the status bars themselves, but video 2 of customization and editing this for yourself will be coming out very soon, so keep an eye out for that. To begin with, I want to ensure people know that we should ensure that all materials in here should be set to Poiyomi. So we'll go ahead and select all materials, but no images. And ensure that it is all set to a version of Poiyomi that works for your project. It can be Poiyomi Pro or Poiyomi Toon. Now that we've ensured that all materials are correctly selected with Poiyomi, we should no longer have an issue with any purple missing texture. With that out of the way, we'll begin with merging our effects layers, and we'll be using VRLabs AV3 Manager to do so. But before we dive in too deep, I want to quickly discuss how our avatar is actually set up and configured. On the avatar descriptor, you can see that our FX layer is specified there, and also in the animator controller. And remember, this is your avatar's FX and animator controllers. This is not with the status bars. Additionally, I've already set up a menu root here, which is basically empty, as well as an empty parameters list. This is just so we're all on the same page. You likely already have information in these, and that's okay. Now, we'll begin with dragging our avatar into that initial box, and then expanding the FX dropdown. Now, we want to click on Add Animator to Merge, and in our project folder, for status bars, we'll get our effects layer, and drag that in there. Want to make sure all of these are empty and not zeroed out. So ensure those are empty, and then we want to go ahead and click on Merge on Current, and that'll go ahead and merge it all up for us. We should see a few more layers populate within our current animator, and that's all good news. Next, we want to go ahead and merge our parameters, and we already have ours selected in there. And we just want to go ahead and drag in status params into that bottom box. Click Copy Parameters. We'll see those all populate there. We can verify, it looks good here. And now we can go ahead and close the AV3 Manager. And I want to quickly ensure that I can show you how to add these animations in there if they're not already in your base layer. You likely already have other animations in there, so make sure you don't delete all your other animations, but only ensuring that those animations are all in the base layer there for the status bars. Now that the FX layer and parameters are all ready to go, we actually have to install the status bar itself and fix the animations. So click on your base avatar there, click Add Component, and I've included an install script to make this hopefully pretty easy for us. Expand that, and here I've included a couple of options to make it kind of configurable and customizable. You can select the bone where you want the status bars to be rigid to. I've seen people install to their wrists, and their chest, and their head, but for this one, we're just going to go ahead and install it to our head bone. We can just drag that right onto there. After that, we actually have to grab the status bar prefab itself out of the project folder. And after that, we have to get our animator component from our avatar. And once again, it has that FX layer. This is important for the script. So if you don't normally, and because some people like to keep their animations clean, you can quickly just add the same one they have on your avatar descriptor and remove it later. And finally, we have to choose a name for this as it will show up in the hierarchy, and it must be unique. So for this one, we're just going to call it SB1 for status bar 1. Now if we hit install, we should see it pop up, and perfect. Here I'm just quickly moving it, but you can position this wherever you want as you want to attach to that bone. You can resize it, but ensure you're moving and scaling the top SB1 and nothing below. And now we're going to go ahead and start actually fixing these animations themselves. You see that the yellow which means that they're not linked correctly to the correct path. And this is because we're going to be editing a transform on this scale. If I quickly expand these, just to show how this works, each little section for these has a bar and a text, and then a foreground and a background. The foreground is what we're animating. Just want to make sure that we want to link the animations to this foreground specifically for each one of the correct sections for this. And the way we're going to be doing this is by copying these paths from the console that I have logged from the script. So each one of these represents each respective section, drink, high, HP. I'm just going to copy this value and click the yellow text once, then once again once it's selected, and just paste in that first value. And we're going to do this for each one, drunk 0, drunk 1, and so on and so forth for high and HP as well, which you will see. Now copy the high path, click it once, click it again, paste it in there, high 1, same thing, copy HP, HP, click, click, paste, HP 1, and same thing for the toggle itself, which is this last fourth one here. And now that the paths are all fixed up, let's go ahead and quickly test this out in play mode. And we should see that all values are halfway here. If we go ahead and take a look at parameters, that's because they're all set to 0.5, but we can adjust these manually. But let's take a peek under the hood real quick and see how this is actually built. So each layer is essentially a blend tree going from an empty bar to a full bar. You see those animations be fixed up, drunk 0, drunk 1, and all bars work on this idea. And this is all well and good, but we want to be able to control these using VRChat, of course. So let's go and set up the menu now for a radial control. Just clicking on my menu here for my avatar, I'm going to add a new control. It's going to be a sub-menu. And I'm just going to name it status bars. I'm going to drag in the status bar menu from the status bar folder. I've also included an icon in here if you want to add that in. And here we see they're all radial puppets with those parameters that we added in and copied. And the toggle as well. But with that being said, let's go ahead and build our avatar and test it on VR. A quick note here. We will have to remove the install script from the avatar, so you can do that manually, or we can click autofix here, which will go ahead and remove for us. You may get this streaming bitmaps. Totally fine to autofix that as well. And you can go ahead and build and publish for Windows. So here we are in VRChat now, and if we just pull out our radial menu, go to expressions, status bars, here's our controls, top one there, high, HP, toggle, and it's all working. This stands as a template for what you can do with a generic slider in VRChat. With Avatar Dynamics, I've seen a lot of people doing some cool stuff with this, and I got some of my own projects going on, including RPG stuff that interacts with actual colliders, and if you get hit with something, it will adjust the slider. You can have timers, you can have grabbable buttons on the slider to change intensities and values, which can be recorded into OSC, which can be sent to different devices. There's quite a few things you can do with this. So keep an eye out for the next video, which is going to be about customizing and expanding off the idea of what you can do with this.